The year is 1970, Los Angeles. Late afternoon sunlight cuts through the tall windows of a private martial arts dojo in Chinatown. The air is thick, tense, silent. Outside, the city hums with life. Inside, time seems to stop. In the center of the polished wooden floor stands a woman. Her name is Keiko Yamada. According to the legend, she is a 7th Dan master of Iaido, the ancient art of the samurai sword. She has traveled from Kyoto. Her reputation precedes her, undefeated in demonstrations across Japan, known for her lightning-fast draw, her surgical precision, her ice-cold discipline. She wears a traditional black hakama. Her hair is tied back tight. In her hands, she holds a katana, not a wooden sparring sword, not a blunt blade, a real katana, razor-sharp, gleaming, deadly. Around the edges of the dojo, a small crowd has gathered. Martial artists, students, curious onlookers. They whisper nervously. The legend says some tried to leave. The tension was unbearable. This was no ordinary sparring match. This was a challenge, and the man she had come to challenge was Bruce Lee. Bruce stands opposite her, barefoot, wearing simple black training pants and a sleeveless shirt. His arms are relaxed at his sides. His face is calm, unreadable. He does not carry a weapon. He does not need one. His eyes, dark and focused, watch her every movement. He has already calculated 1,000 possibilities. The story goes that Keiko had arrived unannounced earlier that day. She walked into Bruce's private training space with confidence bordering on arrogance. She had heard of him, of course she had. The martial artist who claimed that his style, Jeet Kune Do, was superior to all traditional forms. The man who said that rigidity and tradition were the enemies of true combat. She found it insulting, disrespectful, and she wanted to prove him wrong. "Your philosophy is interesting, Mr. Lee," she had said, her English precise, her tone sharp. "But philosophy does not stop steel. Your fists, your speed, what are they against a real blade, against a blade that has been perfected over 1,000 years?" The crowd had gone silent. No one challenged Bruce Lee like this, not with such directness, not with such contempt. Bruce had listened. He did not react with anger. He did not raise his voice. He simply nodded, and then he said quietly, almost gently, "If you wish to test that belief, I will demonstrate. But understand, what you are about to see is not about defeating you. It is about showing you the truth." She smiled, cold, confident. "Then let us begin." And so they stood, face to face, predator and prey, or so she believed. The dojo is silent now. The only sound is breathing, hers measured and controlled, his barely audible. The afternoon light casts long shadows across the floor. Her katana reflects the sun, a blinding flash that makes some in the crowd squint. She holds the blade in Chudan no Kamai, the middle guard position, sword angled forward, tip pointed directly at Bruce's throat. It is a stance of aggression, of readiness. She is daring him to move. Bruce does not move, not yet. He stands in a modified Jeet Kune Do stance, light on his feet, weight on the balls, ready to explode in any direction. His lead hand is open, fingers loose. His rear hand hovers near his hip. His breathing is deep, slow. He is a coiled spring. The legend says that for 10 full seconds, neither of them moved. 10 seconds that felt like an eternity. The crowd held their breath. Someone coughed. Someone else shifted nervously. The floorboards creaked. Keiko's eyes narrowed. She was used to intimidating her opponents with stillness, with the promise of the blade. But Bruce did not flinch, did not blink. He was reading her, every muscle, every micro-expression. He was waiting, and then she moved. The draw was lightning. Her right hand shot to the hilt. The blade sang as it left the scabbard, a high metallic whisper. She lunged forward, closing the distance in a heartbeat, the blade slicing through the air towards Bruce's shoulder. It was a real attack, full speed, full intent. The legend says that the crowd gasped, some shouted, one woman covered her eyes, but Bruce was already gone. He moved before the blade fully left the scabbard, a lateral shift, so fast it seemed like a blur. The katana cut through empty air where his body had been a millisecond before. And in that same instant, Bruce's lead hand snapped forward, not a punch, a trap. His fingers closed around her wrist, the one holding the sword, with surgical precision. His thumb pressed into a nerve cluster just below her wrist bone, a pressure point, instantaneous, agonizing.
Her hand spasmed. The katana wavered, but she was skilled. She adjusted, tried to pivot, tried to bring the blade back around. Bruce did not let her. His rear hand came up, palm strike to her elbow, hyperextending the joint just enough, not to break it, just enough to disrupt her structure. Her balance collapsed, the sword tilted downward. Bruce stepped inside her guard, closer than anyone should get to a sword. His body was pressed against hers now, his center of gravity lower, his weight driving forward. His elbow rose, angled toward her jaw, not to strike, but to threaten. A promise. She froze. She knew. If he wanted, he could end this, right now, without effort. And then, in one fluid motion, Bruce twisted his wrist, redirected her grip, and the katana clattered to the wooden floor. The sound echoed like a thunderclap. Silence followed. Total. Absolute. Keiko stood there, stunned. Her hand was still raised, empty, trembling slightly. Bruce released her wrist and stepped back. He did not gloat. He did not smile. He simply picked up the katana, examined it with respect, and handed it back to her, hilt first. The entire exchange had lasted less than 3 seconds. The legend says she stared at him. Her face, usually so composed, was a mask of disbelief. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She took the sword, slowly, carefully, and bowed, deep, lower than she had ever bowed before. Her hands were shaking. "I was a fool," she whispered. "I thought the weapon made the warrior." Bruce shook his head gently. "The weapon is only a tool. The warrior is the mind, the spirit, the awareness. You are skilled, more skilled than most will ever be, but you relied on the sword to intimidate, to dominate. That is not strength. That is fear." She looked up at him, and for the first time, her eyes were not cold. They were open, vulnerable. "Teach me," she said. "Please. I have trained my entire life, and I have learned nothing." Bruce smiled then, a small, genuine smile. "You have learned the most important lesson already. You have learned humility. That is where true mastery begins." The crowd began to whisper again. Some clapped, softly at first, then louder, but Bruce waved them off. He walked Keiko to the edge of the dojo. They spoke quietly for minutes. The legend says he taught her about interception, about bridging the gap, about how the shortest distance between 2 points is not always a straight line. He taught her that adaptability beats tradition, that awareness beats aggression, that ego is the greatest enemy. She stayed in Los Angeles for 2 more weeks. She trained with Bruce, not with the sword, but with open hands, with footwork, with sensitivity. She learned to feel, not just to strike. And when she returned to Japan, she was changed. She began teaching her students differently. She taught them that the sword was secondary, that the mind was primary, that respect was earned, not demanded. Years later, in interviews, she would speak of that day. She would call it the most important moment of her martial arts journey, the day she was humbled by a man with no weapon, the day she realized that true strength has nothing to do with what you hold in your hands. Bruce Lee passed away just 3 years later, but his lesson lived on. It lives on still. Because here is the truth. The weapon does not make the warrior. The warrior makes the weapon. Bruce understood this. He lived it.
And on that afternoon in 1970, he proved it in 3 seconds flat. So here is my question for you. What are you relying on? Is it a skill, a title, a tool, or is it something deeper, something that no one can take away from you? Think about it, and let me know in the comments below. Because the real battle is never outside, it is always within.